Okay, so here we have Transformers, War for Cybertron Trilogy, Decepticon, Soundwave, and this is in a rather large box, so I'm having to hold it at arm's length because if I bring it close, it takes up all of the screen. So I do apologise if my clumsy fat arms get in the way of this unboxing. Anyway, let's have a look at the packaging. So we have this nice Netflix style packaging here. We have a lovely piece of artwork on the side there of Soundwave himself, looking very pleased to be here. The monochrome style Earthrise Trilogy, I say Earthrise, I'm wrong again, aren't I? War for Cybertron Trilogy artwork there. Looks interesting in the monochrome format with that extra bit of red. And on the back, we can see it comes with Soundwave, who transforms in 19 steps. Ravage, everyone's favourite tape cassette minion, 7 steps. And Laserbeak, everyone's second favourite tape minion, transforms in 4 steps. The bottom of the box is your typical warnings and such. Anyway, I'm not sure of the best way to open this box, so I think we're going to come in from the top. There's a couple of taped areas here, so let's get in there. Using my trusty unboxing knife. What do you guys use to unbox your figures? I am intrigued to know. Interestingly, the flap opens that way as opposed to the other way. Slide him out there. Before we have a look at these, we'll see what else is in the box. So, anything else in there? I see nothing. So to begin with, we have this rather nice red backing piece. It's just a bit of folded cardboard with Soundwave and the Decepticon logo on there. Looks nice in the package though, didn't it? Our typical warning sheet. So that is the instruction manual, or should I call it the instruction pamphlet. And here's the bit you were all waiting for. Here is the figure itself inside its clamshell pack. Let's take these things out. So we have a Ravage. Here we have the Laserbeak. We have one of his weapon mounts by the look of things. I do apologise for my filthy nails. This one seems a bit worrying to get out. We don't want to break anything. Tempted to snip this just so it comes out a bit safer. There we go, pushing from the back gun appears to be the safe way. Here is the weapon in question. Is the figure tied in with anything? I don't think so. I think I'd rather it had the ties than this plastic grippy clam stuff. Oh. And there you go. Here is the man in question. And we can store the tapes inside. Is there a correct way to store these? There we go, done. Just pops out and falls out. Anyway, we'll get to those bits on the review. So we have a robot, we have 3 weapons, and there we are. That is the Soundwave unboxing. Okay, so here is Ravage that came with Soundwave, and here we can see his head. He has quite an interesting head. I like how they've painted his eyes. They haven't painted his teeth. You can see the filth under my fingernails. I do apologise. His eyes have got kind of a silver paint job to them, but it looks quite nice. All things considered, considering how small this gentleman or young lady is. So here you can see Ravage from the front. Here's Ravage from the side. Here's Ravage from the back. And Ravage from the top. A very blocky, interesting robot, I might add. Now, the painted details on this are quite nice. I quite like this Decepticon logo here. I quite like this serial number of sorts here. I don't even know if that's supposed to be part of the aesthetic of the Transformer, or if that is just literally a serial number. Some more paint taps here on the other leg, and some more nice paint taps here on the back legs. Nothing else, I think. Oh yes, a little bit on the top. As you can see, he's a Japanese tape. The sculpted detail is quite nice. I quite like his head, like I said before. I do quite like that head. The feet and legs look quite nice, considering how small this figure is. There's not many hollow bits or strange holes that you sometimes get on Transformers. Not even on the backs of the legs, really. I guess you could kind of count these bits here, but I'm not going to worry too much about those. So really, he is quite solid, if a little blocky. So, kibble and the like, he doesn't seem to have a lot of that. It's just the overall shape of him. The joints are quite good. All his legs move. They move at the foot as well as the hip. Same with the front legs here. I think this one goes all the way forward and all the way back. And then that leg itself also comes forward and back. Some people told me theirs broke very easily. And his head moves on the neck. Yes, it does. It doesn't weigh a lot. Quite a light figure. Now let's have a look at his alt mode. Okay, so let's transform this Ravage. Now, step 1 is you put his head into the body, like so. Step 2 is you lean these feet forward. Now, I'm not sure what this is meant to achieve, but it looks like it anyway. Just bring these feet forward. Step 3, you just close these legs inside, like so. And then step 4, you bring this part of the body around. So he's tucked in on himself. And also, they don't tell you this, but you have to swing the hips around from when you had it out. Actually, they do tell you this, but it doesn't look so obvious. Now, apparently, in step 6, you open up the whole thing all at once, like a butterfly. However, I find you'll find that leg likes to foul on there. So really, you have to be a little careful as to how you do that. And then you can, after that, fold these sides in, like so, without them fouling on each other. There's a lot of fouling going on with the transformation steps that they give you in this. I find you'll end up doing it your own way. Anyway, step 7 is you fold these feet in. Now this little slot here fits on that tab there. Should make a nice satisfying little click. And then we get a bit of fouling on the other leg. There we go. It's on. And that is done. Probably one of the hardest transformations I've done in the entire line of Earthrise so far, purely because I think these instructions are badly written. So here it is. Here's Ravager's alt mode, a small cassette tape of sorts. I don't know if it's supposed to be a dictaphone micro cassette or just a normal cassette, but I think this looks pretty good, especially from the front, not so much from the back or the sides. As you can see, all the little legs, but that is to be expected, especially when you're just going to see him in Soundwave's chest, usually in this mode. The sculpted details on here are quite nice, as well as the paint apps there to look like the little cassette rollers themselves. And there are no moving parts or anything else going on with this part of the mode, so this literally just is it. And I think this looks pretty good. Okay, so here's Laserbeak. Let's do a little review of this young gentleman or lady. So you can see his head here. He has a lovely looking head with an incredible looking beak. I like the way he has the Decepticon logo on his head, and he also has those little yellow painted eyes, which I think look fantastic. Here you can see him from the front, and from the side, and from the top, and from the bottom. Notice he has 3 bottoms. Which one is the real bottom? And did we see him from the front? I think we did. And the underneath. Look at all that detail there. Lovely. The paint on this guy really is tremendous, I think. Especially if you look at the paint apps here compared to the size of my filthy thumbnails there. I think this looks really good. Is that a sticker on his head, or is that an actual paint app? It doesn't like focusing on that because it's just so shiny. There we go. See if we can see that there. It's kind of like a sticker, but I also think it might be paint. You tell me, there's experts out there. I'm not the expert. There's no paint underneath, and there's no paint on the back. Just those wing bits there. Oh, on his face. The eyes, the yellow on the eyes, I also think looks quite nice. The sculpted detail, which you can see, also is absolutely incredible, really, for a miniature of this size. A figure. I'm getting all my words wrong today. But I think the detail on Laserbeak is incredible. I actually think he's a bit better than Ravage. He doesn't have any hollow areas apart from this little section here behind his neck. But other than that, there's no sort of weird gaps or holes or anything. There's no kibble or backpack because he's not a person, so he wouldn't have anything like that. I guess you could call this thing a backpack. What would he keep in there, I wonder? Is that a booster? What was this bit in the original cartoons? He doesn't need any... He doesn't have any joints of sorts, although you could kind of say these were wings that flap, maybe, but I wouldn't really say they were joints. I guess his neck is a joint. It comes up and down. You can face upwards, you can face down, and you can get that angry sort of pointing forward look. I see seagulls do this look when they're chasing food in the summer. Scary littles. I was going to say something there. Scary little bleeders they are. Let's weigh this guy and see how much he weighs. There we go. You can see he weighs an incredible 6 grams. So he really is rather light there at 6 grams. A very light figure indeed. You can hardly notice him when you hold him in your hands. He doesn't come with any accessories, funnily enough, because he is himself an accessory for Soundwave. Now, he doesn't roll or anything, he just has those little legs there. But I do think he looks nice. Now his alt mode, let's transform him. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's transform Laserbeak, probably one of my favourite transformations in the War for Cybertron trilogy so far. So step 1 is we fold this rectangular piece back behind his back. There we go. And mine is very loose, as you can see. It comes out very easily. Hopefully yours isn't as loose as mine, but you can see that when it is transformed, it's a little bit wiggly there. It'd be nice if it wasn't. Anyway, you fold it back, then fold it back again. Now step 2 is you put his bird beak inside that cavity on his body there, like so. Nice and easy. Step 3 is you close the wings up, just like that. And finally, for step 4, you just push his feet out to the side, and that is Laserbeak transformed. After a rather simple transformation, we can see here his alt mode, and it's supposed to be a cassette. However, it doesn't really have any of the indicators that it's a cassette like Ravage does. Here's Ravage. You can see like the cassette type paint apps and things on there, and the roller mechanism, but Laserbeak has none of that. He just has these paint apps and sculpted details, which if you didn't know this was a cassette, I think you would probably assume it's just a rectangle. That's probably a little downside to the figure, but make of that what you will. But anyway, that is Laserbeak, and I think he's a fantastic little figure. Okay, so let's review this Earthrise Soundwave, the one from the Netflix pack. Now this is a lovely looking Transformer with a very lovely face. Let's have a little look. There you can see his face. He does have some light piping. See if I can get the light down for you for that. There we go. I think that looks absolutely wonderful. Here he is from the front. Here he is from the side, and here he is from the back. He's leaning back a bit. I understand that some of you never get to see these other angles from the top, and we'll have a look underneath as per usual. Now the paint apps on this are quite nice, if a little thin. I understand that yellow is a hard colour to paint, although they've done a wonderful job on this front cassette screen here. The Decepticon logo, I believe, is a little on the wonk on mine. I think the bottom tip comes out to the left a touch. So that's interesting. I mean, you wouldn't really notice it unless someone had just pointed it out to you. This bit here has sort of faded a little already. I don't actually know if it's me rubbing that paint off or if it was always like that. But now I've noticed it, I am going to keep an eye on it. The yellow here you can almost see through to the blue behind. However, at arm's length, it doesn't look bad at all, really. The silver is very good. Can't complain about the silver at all. Not a lot of paint on the back, if any. Just more of that gold. Don't know why I was calling it yellow. It is gold, isn't it? The sculpted detail on this gentleman is absolutely superb. The arms here have some wonderful details. I love the sculpted faux buttons on the front here, as the genuine ones are on the back, along with a lot more lovely sculpted details. There's some lovely ridges and things on the back of his head here, and these panels on the inside obviously look a lot like the G1 toy, and they do look very nice indeed. Now, there's not a lot of hollowness to this figure apart from inside the arm here. This is probably the worst offender, although that is where the arms fold inside as part of the transformation. The rest of the figure is actually very solid indeed. There's no hollow bits on the back, just a little on the thighs there, and perhaps a bit in the biceps and tricep area there, I might add. Now let's have a look at the joints and articulation. His head will spin all the way around. It will lean forward, it will lean back. The arms do a full 360. They bend upwards and down. The elbow bends. Is there any rotation? Yes, there's some rotation there at the shoulder. And the arms, unfortunately, do not rotate. However, using part of the transformation, those wrists can come inboard. He swivels 360 degrees at the waist, something I myself can't do. The legs go forward and not all the way back, unless you lift his back flap. Then I assume they'll go back. Yes, they will go all the way back. The thighs rotate here. The knees do 90 degrees and slightly over 90 on the front. The ankle has a little rock there, in and out. Not a lot, but a little. And I think that is it. The feet do not spin themselves. It looked like that thing was going to move then. There's a little gap in there. Never noticed that. Might be something I have to keep my eye on. Yes, that thing is not super solid on the figure there. You can see the light behind it. Intriguing. Anyway, so all in all, I think the articulation of the Soundwave is very good. Obviously, you could consider that part of the articulation. And can he touch his own? Oh, you could call that part of the articulation, although that's part of the transformation. He can touch his own button with that finger. That is the important part for a lot of you. Touching your own button. Now, let's see how much he weighs. Soundwave weighs a massive, you can't see this, 134 grams. Which is considerably more than his accessory pieces. Now, talking of accessories, let's have a look at the accessories that he comes with. Now, he has this rather fabulous looking shoulder cannon, a homage to the original shoulder cannon weapon. I think it's a multiple rocket launcher of sorts, and the detail of that is very nice. I'll just pop that back in his shoulder. He also comes with the two cassettes, Ravage and Laserbeak. He comes with this interesting fold-out weapon, which he can use as a pistol in this manner, or flip it out long ways into more of a rifle-style weapon, which obviously fits into his hand. I'm not actually sure which way around it's supposed to go. It'll fit in that way, or I guess you could spin it for this look. I mean, it's up to you which way you think is the correct orientation, and obviously it can rotate over to create more of a pistol look. Also, regarding weapons, he has these little, flip the hands in, these little wrist blasters. Is that what they are? I don't know what they are. They're not mentioned in the instruction booklet at all, but they flip out, and you have there a sort of wrist blasting pose. Not really sure what they're supposed to be. Maybe they're supposed to go to the top, like so. Maybe they're supposed to be something completely different, and I just haven't got a clue what they are. They look a little bit like skids. Not the Transformer, but like snow skids or something. Anyway, let's put that back. So along with the weapons you saw a second ago, he also has this weapon, which is a extending gun, which I think is the best looking weapon of all his handheld weapons. And he can also hold this one in his hand. I prefer this one as I feel it matches the aesthetic of his shoulder gun there. Also, these two can combine into this rather interesting looking extra long gun. I'm not really sure what the point is of this one. I think maybe he's supposed to hold this with two hands, but the articulation may not allow that. No, I don't think so. I'm not going to risk bending or snapping anything. But yeah, I think the double length gun is not the greatest. The attachment for that shoulder gun does come out. You haven't broken it. It is supposed to do this, although I don't think it's supposed to do this as easily as it does with me. So what I do is I grab it, give it a spin. You can just put this back inside. Pull it apart and mount it back on his shoulder. A lot tidier. Now we've seen him in his robot mode, I feel it's time to have a look at him in his alt mode. So let's get him transformed. Okay, so let's transform this Netflix Soundwave. Step 1, we take the rocket launcher on his shoulder off. Now step 2 is we put the hands inside the wrist cavities. Step 3 is we rotate the body around at the waist, 180 degrees. Step 4, we open the shoulder section. Step 5, we lean the head back into that section. And then 6, we close it back up again. Easy. Now step 7 is you want to rotate these wrists to face the front. And then step 8 is they open at the top, the arms, and they'll tab together, this tab into this hole. Likewise on this side, this tab into this hole. And then step 9, where you see these arms, there's a hole here and a tab here. These tab together. That's why we had to rotate the wrists. Now, step 10, it reminds me a bit of an old Optimus Prime here. Step 10 is we open up these flaps on the shins. Always easier said than done, these. Can never get my nail in there. There we go. And step 11 is we open the flaps that we've just opened up. Like so. Now step 12 is we fold those feet into the flaps. Like so. And then step 13 is we close those shin sections back down with a satisfying click. And you'll notice, if you're like me, that they haven't actually closed up at the front, so I just close them a bit with my thumb. Step 14 is you turn the legs to have the tabs facing outwards, which are these tabs here. And then step 15 is you turn these legs to make a 90-degree angle at the knee, like this. And then step 16 is we lift them and close up. Now there is a couple of tabs and a couple of holes. There's a hole here and another hole here, and that's for that tab there and that tab there. Now you need to make sure these are in tight, otherwise you won't get a nice tidy alt mode. There we go. A good squeeze ought to do it, and that'll also hold these toe sections in place. Now step 17 is you flip that bit up forward. Then step 18 is you open up these parts inside. Sometimes they catch on those legs if they haven't been turned exactly straight, but I think we got away with it there. And then step 19, you close this back down and there is a tab, you can just make it out there, which will go into that hole there. Now it's not a hard click as I call it, that's more of a soft click. You sort of just press it on and it doesn't actually line up 100% straight, you can see. I mean, you can fiddle with it, but you know, it's not the most perfect of fits, and now it's gone completely awry. It's probably the arms there. Keep untabbing. So yeah, I find if you just give this a fiddle and sort of push the middle out with your thumb while pushing the edges down, might make it a bit straighter. And that is about as straight, excuse me, as you're going to get it. If you can see these legs here, they're not lined up 100%, so if I push that leg around a bit, it might make it a bit straighter. All in all, it's not the most straight of alt modes. There's a lot of off angles, probably from where I've transformed it a little bit on the wonk. But if you give it a good squeeze all over, that front will keep popping up. That'll make sure that all your joints and sections are tight. I think this one is an important one, and these ones here, definitely these sections here. If you get those wrong, you'll soon know. So that is Soundwave transformed. And here we have Soundwave in his alt mode, a throwback to his G1 cassette tape player origins. I think it looks fantastic. I really love the look of this guy. I love the colours, and it might be because he looks so much like his original toy, even if that recorder battery light there just looks like a bit of silver paint. Now, I think that this is a pretty good alt mode. Here it is from the front, and the side, and the top, and underneath is a bit where it falls apart, and the rear, I think, has a little to be desired, although who wants to look at the rear of a cassette tape player? The front always did look better. Now, these are the same paint apps as we saw before on the front here, although this time we can see the nice lighter blue on the legs, which I think contrasts very nicely with the dark blue of the body there. Sculpted detail here I think is very nice, including the play buttons, which now are bigger as opposed to the smaller ones, which are now hidden away in there somewhere. My only real gripe is if I catch it right, you can see there's actually quite a lot of hollow in there. You can see all the way through. which I never really noticed at first and which you can't really see in photos, but you can see when you have the figure in hand. You can see it quite clearly there and there. You can see all the way through. The back is a bit of a backpacky kibbly thing, although like I said before, we can't complain too much about it, and it is supposed to store his weapons. So I think these store in here. And the gun stores in the back, like so. So that is his weapon storage, although this one on the left hangs lower than the one on the right. So if you try and put him down, sometimes he's not entirely straight. He's got a bit of a wobble on him, although that might be because my transformation itself was a bit wobbly. But anyway, only one moving part to talk to you about, and that of course is the tape cassette player, and we all know what that's for, and that is to put our tapes in which fit inside. Lovely. I think that is absolutely incredible. So all in all, I think Soundwave is a very, very nice figure. If most of the reasons for that are because of his robot mode and the nostalgia feeling of his alt mode. I understand that these guys are quite hard to find. I myself paid a little over the odds for this off eBay, however I feel it was definitely worth it. Well worth having in your collection.